Hey guys, it's Jake. I'm going to show a workflow for geolocating a model and then exporting it to Google Earth and making it look right. So the first thing you need to do is group this all into one group so you can work with it. This is just a model I'm working on today, just a rough draft of a barn and corral. So after you group that together, what you can do is come up and go to geolocation, add location. It'll bring up this window that's a little like Google Maps. And you can just get imagery from all over the world. So find the barn that we're working with, and you notice there's a cross here. That's where the origin point's going to be when you import. So I like to just bring it in, put it at the corner of the building I'm working on. I hit select region and just bring it down like that. Bigger it is, the more terrain you're going to import and the more complicated and bigger the file is going to be. So just get what you need. Click import, it'll take a second. So there we go. The building's imported right at where that cross was is the origin point, and north-south is aligned with green, east-west is aligned with red. Now we don't really have to worry about this being aligned with anything right now. What we can do is take our model, bring the corner of this building down to the origin point, then use the rotate tool, make sure it's aligned to blue, to rotate it. Just zoom out, and I want to say it's right at 30 degrees. It looks pretty close. So now you've got that aligned with the building and geolocated. So now you've got everything you need. There's one other thing I would do here, is when you come in, you notice that the top of our cement is at the exact same level as our terrain. That's not good. What's going to happen is Google Earth and SketchUp both are going to have a hard time displaying that. So what I like to do is, while you're still in SketchUp, raise this up 1 millimeter or 1 inch. It doesn't really matter, just a small amount. And you can see now it displays pretty nice. And that's going to help when you export it. Okay, we're ready to export it. All you need to do is save it, and then go to export, 3D model, make sure it's exporting a KMZ file. Okay, now we can open up Google Earth, and once it exports. Okay, now we can open up Google Earth. We've got the same location here. And now all you have to do with Google Earth is drag a file into it like this. Just anywhere on the screen and let it go. It's going to take a second to load up. There it is. Okay, so here is our SketchUp model. Now one thing you notice is that it's not perfectly aligned, and that's because the GPS data from one program to the next is not perfectly aligned, so it can be off a little bit, but that's not a problem to fix. What you want to do is come over here, and you'll have this folder of whatever file name you sent. It's like created with SketchUp. Just open it up, go to the model, and right click on it, click properties, and it's going to bring up this box. And this box will let you can drag the middle and you can reposition it. You can drag this diamond and rotate it. So just reposition it, put it where you want it. Go right there. Click OK. Now it's perfectly where you want it and looks pretty good. Now, when we moved that up 1 millimeter, what we did is we brought this up a little bit, but Google Earth is not made for rendering these models super good, and if they're close, sometimes you'll get this kind of scratchiness. Even though it's above 1 millimeter, Google Earth works in, kilometers, not millimeters. So what you can do to make that work better is we'll go back to model preferences. You can change the altitude of this model. Just click altitude and then set this at 1 meter relative to ground. Okay, that's going to lift this up, and now you can see that it's actually got just a little bit of space underneath of it. That's usually not a problem when you're looking at a corrals or a building. So, and now the rendering is a lot better. Now Google Earth doesn't have that problem. So a couple other things to check on in Google Earth, and that is if you're having trouble with like half your model disappearing, it's because you have the terrain turned on. Google Earth has built-in terrain. So here's our Google Earth with terrain. Now this one's not a big problem because it's pretty flat, but if your model is on the side of a hill, half of it's going to be buried in the hill. If you've ever done this, you know what I mean. So here you can actually see that kind of just by chance, part of this corral's way up in the air here. Like that. So what you want to do is come over here to layers and turn your terrain off. Now you're just looking at Google Earth as a flat projection. There's no, when you look at it like this, there's no terrain, it's just flat. That's what you want. And yeah, looks pretty good actually. You can come in here and you can actually have this on your phone too. I'll show that here in a minute. But you can look at this model on Google Earth, really in the context of your client's place really well. The rendering's not bad. This isn't really what Google Earth is great at, but it does work. You can see it's a little bit rough, but it's not a huge problem. And Google Earth is something that most people are familiar with. It's really easy to move around in. So it's pretty good for displaying corrals and stuff. Now the downside is it's going to export exactly what you had visible in Google Earth. So exactly, if you have some layers, like if I had gates in here and they were turned off when I exported, they would be off in Google Earth. There's no way to turn the layers back on. There's no way to work with components, so you can't click on anything. You can't move anything inside the model. It's just looking at it. So that's the only disadvantage, but honestly, if you're giving this to a person that doesn't know how to use a program very good, Google Earth is familiar and does a good enough job for this stuff. So I hope that helps. Let me know if you have any questions, and I'll see you next time.